Awesome, we're live. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to Tea Time. What's up, Church of Union? And so we're here to hang out and just discuss the sermon today and what's going on with everyone this week. And let's get to it. So who wants to start?
I'll go. So today's sermon, it was so good. I really just loved where you kind of just invited everyone to just sit with the uncomfortable feeling. I think that feels complete opposite of what we know. And really just having that permission was just this knowing like, okay, I'll be safe. Like it's okay to look at it. This is how I get through the process. It's not going to actually hurt me. And it allows you to really start to look at, you said the problem like more like in like a scientist instead of emotionally attached to it. And when I started working from the process kind of in this way, it was like, oh, okay, I can observe my reality instead of feeling like I'm a victim to my reality. So this was a very important thing for me to be able to kind of learn this last few weeks, and to have you talk about that in the sermon was like, okay, I'm still on the right path. I'm still headed in the right direction. And so I really loved just really that piece of it at the beginning.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good thing to remember on this journey, especially when first getting started. I mean, we've come a really long way in a short amount of time, right? But it's still a lot of tip of the spear spirituality work going on, and to have compassion and patience for yourself as we're moving through it as a collective consciousness, and just experimenting with it and looking at it like that, looking at it with a very unbiased perspective and saying like, how does this feel, not identifying with the feeling that's coming up or the behavior, and just moving through the process and trusting that. Yeah, I think it does get better over time and easier over time as you do it. But yeah, letting go of that victim energy and that victim mentality is so fundamentally important. It creeps up for me sometimes because my mom was like huge victim energy, and so I think I moved through it quite a bit. Like it'll arise. I'm like, oh, I know instantly when I feel it, and I just let it go and choose to like take responsibility and command of my reality. And that always feels better. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I've had to really learn not to judge myself when I recognize that I went into victim mentality. There's like more judgment and shame and guilt come in, like, oh, I know better than this. But I've had to really just be like, just have compassion. You're aware of it now. Let's move through it. Don't sit in it. So that makes complete sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Um, I really resonated with that, what you shared, Kanisha, as well, and the victim mentality, and especially like what you shared at the end there, like not um meta, like getting, you know, piling on shame and guilt on top of the thing that you're aware of. And that in the past 2 years, like that's really been something I've been working on. And like I had, there were like several moments when you, Chrissy, and Jason shared these like really cool takeaways, like for example, like respecting your reality, like kind of walking forward, and if your reality is telling you something and you're kind of not listening to it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's just a some sort of synchronicity, or that's something else, that's not me, or that's not mine to handle, and your reality keeps communicating the thing over and over to you and you're not changing it, like that really resonated with me. And there's things in my life that I was like, oh, I don't know why this is happening, or with health or money or whatever, and oh, it just must be some sort of um test or challenge from God, like what you were talking about. And that's not true. It was like very scientific and directly proportional. And that was one of the takeaways that I had. And really, like the last thing you were sharing about how it's not how it looks, it's how it feels, is really important, I think, to notice. And that it's not, the feeling isn't about being pleasant, it's about being good, like right and good in alignment with God. So I have many more takeaways. Those are kind of like my main ones.
It's funny you say that, Lacey, because it's not about how it looks, it's about how it feels. I actually have that with doing yoga. I'm like, it's not about what it looks, it's about how it feels. Because sometimes it's just not looking all that great. I was like, but it's about how it feels, right? And so like we're at like, and I'm working on a lot of body stuff right now. And so yeah, you really want to like release that judgment of like, does this look perfect? Be like, no, how does this feel? And like, it's a really good tip to apply in a lot of different areas of life, not just in one, but like, yeah, it really is about how it feels. The same goes to affect, like, you could look really good, it could look good, right? You could have like all of the things and like all of the fancy cars, you could have all of the wealth and like, the riches, but like if you don't feel good inside, if you don't feel peace inside, then you're not wealthy, right? There's a lot going on there. And so it's really about, how you feel. That's the metric. It's how you're feeling. Yeah, I think it's a really good one.
It just came to my mind was yesterday evening, God guided me to watch the Iron Man because Shaleia mentioned it in the class. And it was exactly about this, that he was rich and had all the cars, right, all the richness in the world, but he was not happy at all. And so when he found his life purpose, like to save kind of humanity or like to do his thing, right, then he was happy. And I also loved, like everybody was saying, like your approach, like to not identify with the feelings, right? You got aware what you shared in the sermon, like it's just two conflicting thought systems the moment you feel upset, and to just like find out what is the lie, what is the false belief, right? To love yourself there, the upset, and just knowing what is going on. And also with the guilt and shame that it's just the main purpose to separate you from God and nothing else, and to always know the truth, like who we are, like divine and perfect, and to let go, like with every feeling, to not judge it, right? I feel it's, especially when you start the journey or you do the mirror exercise, and of course I also sometimes need this reminder to not identify with the feelings that you just said, right? Just let them flow. And like what I shared in the intro with the question about the mirror exercise, because a lot of upheaval will come up, right? When you love yourself there, and to know it's just leaving you, right? It's not like who you are. You bring the trash out. Yeah, I think that's, and you feel so much lighter after crying, right? We all know, like, and it's even scientifically proven that when you cry from pain, that you bring toxins out. Otherwise, when they stay within, it can create sickness in the body, right? So the moment you have a healthy cry, you feel so much better. Yeah, it's what helps me to feel better in my journey.
I really like that part of upheaval as well, because, been moving through a lot of upheaval, and the people that I talked to these past few weeks have been moving through a lot of upheaval as well. So it's really timely, and there's the upheaval support guide as well. Just taking care of yourself and giving yourself space to rest, to upheave. That's like the healing integration. It's like when you work out, you also want to take time to rest, because this is when the muscle is growing, right? And yeah, don't push yourself when you are already upheaving, right? That is a major takeaway from the upheaval support guide.
Yeah, I think that's about having compassion in your life, right? Like having compassion with yourself as you're moving through things. Like it's not like a dogma. It's about enjoying your life and in trusting your healing, and really allowing it to integrate properly and establish those different patterns and behaviors in your life that support you and are good for you versus pleasurable for you, right? And like that happens when you heal, like you change your behaviors and things shift based on what you're healing. And so yeah, I think that's a really good thing to, it's always a good thing to look over those. We're coming up on the last quarter of the year. We're in it. We're like October is the beginning of the last quarter of the year. And it's a really good time to like just do a reflection or a review. Maybe watch or do the intro course or read the book or like check the upheaval guide out. Like do something to help you kind of reset this quarter. I always do that. It's a really good practice to do some time of the year for yourself. But yeah, I think it's really good to kind of just settle into those basics and review the basics. I was reading something, I'm always reading stuff, right? But like I'm reading 100 million, what is it, 100 million leads? I think that's what the book is. And he says in there that masters always go back to the basics. It's one of the things that he says, that he probably is quoting somebody, but yeah, I thought that was really profound because I believe it to be true. Is that like it's really important to always humble yourself and go back to the basics of whatever it is that you embody. And we all here as unionists embody the teachings of union, and going back to the basics and reminding yourself and reviewing them, you'll always get something from them. You'll always get the next piece for you when you do that. That's what I always experience. And I think it's a really, really good practice. Yeah.
That's really profound. Like I find myself doing that too, like going back to the romance attraction e-course and just kind of, it's like a toning. Like I imagine a gong that like you hit it and then the sound's like and then when you hit it again, it resets the tone to like the notes and the amplification like back to the beginning, and that just feels really good and really supportive. And it's interesting that you mentioned, you know, the last quarter of the year that you're doing this, and I find myself you know, doing a lot of things that people say that they do in January for New Year's. I do that in the fall, and I think it makes more sense to do in the fall too, because you're like cleaning up and getting ready for winter, you know, like packing away your space, and you can do that outwardly and inwardly too, just kind of like tidy and we are in Virgo season too, so that's even
That's why I'm called to do it. We are super Virgos over here in this house. So like we're all about the energy of this month. Like we have so much energy moving through us that like I usually direct it right into like self-development and like really sitting. I think like this time of year, I also love like the comfort of curling up on the couch with the bulky blanket and a thing of tea and a book. Like it brings me so much joy to do that. Like, and so I'm all about it. And I completely agree, Lisi. I think it's great. And yeah, like you don't have to wait till January to start your whatever you want. You could do it whenever you want, which whenever it feels good for you. But I do think Virgo season is really all about this, and like it feels really good to kind of pull on, you know, like tap into that energy and allow it to support you on your goals. Yeah, for sure.
I love that. My twin flame is a Virgo as well, and lately I've been feeling guided to go back to the basic of the mirror exercise by writing it fully out and moving through the whole process. And also just started reading the book again as of yesterday. So I was like, okay, I like this energy. It feels like really coming at it from more, I guess, healed and fresh eyes instead of just looking at it as, I think for me, it's kind of like I went on autopilot a little bit at some point in time in my journey. And I was like, okay, something feels not right. What is it? And it was having to go back to the basics and make sure that we were refining those in every area and that we were really completely moving through everything instead of feeling like we knew better. I think that was something I heard in class is like, um, having to humble yourself and not feeling like you know better than everyone or everything because you've been doing it for so long. And especially when you're working with new people, you want to make sure that you really break it down in a basic way to where they understand it instead of like what I would call like a veteran way of like, oh, this is my feeling, straight to the mirror, like straight to step 4 of feeling my feelings here and giving myself love. But I've had to really honor the whole process and continue to refine in each space.
Yeah, I read Twin Flames Finding Your Ultimate Lover once a year. And I also have like on our coach, like as for coaches, like, you know, a lot of coaches listen, like and you can do this regardless, even if you're just a spiritual student, wherever you're at in your journey. Like I track everything, like all the books I read, like that, because there's a couple books that I rotate through pretty often, like once or twice a year, not once or twice a year, but once every couple years. Twin Flames Finding Your Ultimate Lover, I absolutely read every year. I just finished Autobiography of a Yogi on my birthday a couple days ago, and like it was really nice to kind of like finish that off, and it feels really good to have completed it. And I mark it down, like I track it, like it's just something you can do as, yeah, thanks, Lucy. Like that one, I had to put it down a couple times. It was a lot, like from an energetic perspective, but I always was like, I always went back to it. It's kind of like it was a Course in Miracles for me. I always had it out, like I always saw it, and then like I really dove into it in the mornings, like first thing in the morning. It was just like this little thing I did, that I would get up. It would be like the house was really quiet. It was like 5:30 in the morning, and I would just sit and read for like 10 to 15 minutes, and it was really, really nice. And so like, yeah, like find that it's a self-care component. Like reading can be very self-care. And if reading's not your thing, like do audiobooks, like figure out how you can, receive information that feels good to you. But like, yeah, I think it's a really good practice to kind of track as a professional, like those things that you're doing and completing, because you'll be surprised how much you actually like will complete in a year or so, like when you track it. Yeah. It's nice.
That reminds me of something else you shared in the sermon. It was, I think the quote, I did write part of it, is something about how when your reality, the thing that you're used to, that you isn't working for you, disguises itself as comfort, like it's comfortable in the old pattern. And what I found is tracking helps me to see the truth, like, oh, like for example, counting calories or writing down what I eat. Oh yeah, I did sneak in some chocolate there, and it adds up. Or tracking your finances, and then that can communicate reality to you, like, why does the scale keep going up? Or why does my bank account keep going down? Well, you need to look, and tracking is just such a grounding thing to do. And it really makes a difference. And so the thing that you feel comfortable with, you can start to see like, well, maybe it's just disguised as comfort because it's not actually bringing you total comfort.
Yeah, I think this is a huge lesson that a lot of people are kind of moving into. And I think the Virgo energy kind of pulls you into this a little bit, of like that tracking energy or that organizational component. And it is really good to get clear on, like, if you do have like upsets with scheduling, or you do have upsets with like putting things on your calendar or scheduling, maybe it's because you have an illusion of what freedom is. And you think like, oh, being free and like doing what I want and like all of this like free space, it actually results in a lot of wasted energy, wasted time, instead of being like a really efficient with your time that results in liberation over time, right? So like little small things you can do add up to huge shifts over time. And so like it's really good to do that, Lisa. I agree. Like finances, like track your finances, identify. A lot of people think they don't have any money, or they're like, I don't have any money. But when you really get down to it, it's where their money's going that's resulting in them feeling like they don't have any money. And sometimes, yeah, they need to be pulling in more money. But like a lot of times there's places that we can shift and like tweak to get them to their goals. And it's just getting really clear there. Yeah. I think it's really important. Same thing with body and health. And that's really coming in for us this year. Jason and I like did our yearly reading. We do it during our birthday week. And we had a whole section on like health and wellness and body healing and stuff. And like, I was like, man, it's coming in, and I feel it. Like this is my last month of active duty in the Army. Like I'm completely fully retired at the end of the month, and on official on 1 October. And like, man, do I feel that energy releasing from my body. Like there's a lot of energy coming up. I was like, man, all these memories of like, jumping over pits when I was a kid and hurting my ankle. I wasn't a kid, I was in my 20s, but like, like doing like Army stuff and like, walking in the woods in the middle of the night for hours, doing like land navigation. I was like, man, was I rough on my body. And like, it was just kind of like, this is what's going on. Like my body's releasing it and relaxing, and there's a lot of upheaval going on. And it feels really good to like know what it is, like it's awesome to have that awareness. And that's really all you need, to have compassion for yourself as you move through it. And I'm literally, just doing yoga, and it feels so good to do 30 minutes of yoga and just stretch. I think I could literally stretch for a year and I'm going to still be tight. but I'm gonna get there because I'm gonna do it every day until something shifts. But yeah, like I think it's really important to, you know, have patience and compassion for yourself as you're figuring this kind of stuff out and where you're in debt, where you're moving through it, stuff like that. Because I think we're all moving through it in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like clarity is so important, right? It's what makes you feel better when you have clarity in every aspect of your life. And I also love like when you shed back to the basics, because then you feel your progress, right? When you read like, yeah, the book, Finding Your Ultimate Lover once a year, you feel like, wow, last year I was there on my journey, right? Or now I understand something better, and you become also more vulnerable. And like Kanisha said, more humble too, right? Your heart is more open than the year before. That's what I really love about the teaching. Yeah, you feel just like more love is coming in, right? And I also felt that with the material arts that I was doing like before, like Kung Fu, right? Coming back to these exercises, like the basics, and building everything up on that, and every time doing it, and you become really a master more and more. Of course, I was not, because I was not continuing, but yeah, with the mirror exercise, you really feel this way, right? You become more and more a master, but there's still open space to what you can get better at, right? There's always something you can improve at. And so, but I feel it's very important to be proud of yourself during the journey, to pat yourself on the back like here and there more often, and to encourage ourselves. And of course, it's like we said in the Facebook group, often going on, right? To encourage each other and to keep going, and that we all need that here and there, especially when you feel deep emotions, the deeper we go into transformation. But I really love this feeling better and lighter, also in my body, and doing back better with exercising now. I also feel very inspired by the Virgo season now, and yeah, that's where I'm at.
I like the gentle approach, especially when it comes to working out. I have also, as many, created like a weekly schedule. It's really nice to have like professional development on there, as well as workouts, and really taking it easy. And like we mentioned here, it doesn't matter how it looks like, it's more like how it feels like. It's a good lesson for me, because I think when it feels good, then it's actually the most efficient and effective for you, rather than doing what the workout plan is telling you to do. So I combine like a few things like stretching, a little cardio, and then I have some parkour right around the corner here. That's really nice. Feels good to have a balance and work on this, like that everything is in moderation, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's like I really appreciate that, Fabian. Yeah, I think it's a journey with working out. I realized I've had so many profound like insights since like I've my life's changed. So like I'm completely on purpose work now, which is finally caught up to a lot of people who've been living on like, not that the army wasn't purpose for me, but like, yeah, feels really good to be doing a lot more mapping and coaching, and my calendar opened up. I absolutely love it. And yeah, I've had times where I have self-care. I mean, if you've watched, a lot of unionists have access to the training where we go over scheduling. But that like hour of yoga gives to, like, I have an hour, I only do 30 minutes of yoga, but like I give myself an hour for like cleanup and hygiene and stuff. But like, yeah, that hour gives to me so deeply. And I know that, and I've been challenged a time or two to not do it. Like I would have this like, kind of like a exhaustion monster come over me like right before going to do yoga, and I'm like, what is this energy? And like I know that doing the yoga would be like, what I come into is like, I know going to do the yoga would be more beneficial to me than going to sleep for an hour, right? And so like I just am saying, okay, I know this is going to be better for me, I know this is the good thing for me to do, and I'm going to go do it. And then after that, if I want to take a nap, I'll take a nap. Like I'll give myself what I need, but I'm going to get the yoga done. And I get the yoga done, I'm so full of energy, like napping's really not even like on the table. And it's amazing how that like hump hits us and invites us into like doing something that's not going to love us, and like it's just saying no to it and choosing to follow the schedule anyways, regardless of what's going on. And I think that has really helped me in maintaining my vibration through some really challenging and like demanding times, within the organization, and like things we're moving through, is maintaining my schedule, like the basic balance of my schedule. So I didn't go in debt with my body. I didn't go in debt with my food. I didn't go in debt with a lot of things that I just maintained as I moved through the big spiritual, challenge that we were being faced with. And so like, I think that's really important to have those things in your schedule and just do them. So when you do have a challenging time, you're loving yourself through it, and it provides you a huge baseline to stay efficient. I think it's I found it to be extremely helpful, and like, I was proud of myself that I did it. And like, I think it's just something I've been working on for a long time. And yeah, you can do it too. Everyone can, I think.
Yeah, I think really partnering that self-care has been more of a challenging part for me, of really understanding what self-care is and why it's so important. And I even had a time this last week where I was just moving through a lot of upheaval, and I was like, I'm just gonna sleep the whole day. And I'm like in bed, and I was like, this feels really bad. Like, I don't actually want to sleep the whole day. And so I asked God, I was like, God, what do I do in order to be able to just move this energy and move into a more peaceful place? And it was to go on a walk, and it was a beautiful day, and I went on a walk, and probably within like 30 minutes, it was like this new energy came through, and I got so many things done that day where I was like, wow, this could have been a totally different day if I would have just chose to sit in this bad feeling. But I just needed self-care, and it really shifted the dynamic. And so I'm really learning what that means when these feelings come up, of like, oh, I just need more self-care in this place. There needs to be a balance in this space for me to be able to receive even more, instead of feeling like you're in these funks every few weeks.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Like, I was craving going outside the other day. I'm like, I need to go outside and do something. And luckily we have a lot of opportunity of things to do outside in our property right now. There's a lot of work to do on our yard. So I was like, I'm going to go, because like, the winter's coming, the fall's coming. It's going to quickly like not be able to go outside as much and do what I'm currently doing. And so like, yeah, I went outside and just like spent an hour or so like raking and laying seed in our yard, and it just brought so much energy to me. So like, it's all about doing those things that are going to light you up and like bring in a new energy. I a lot of times think just changing the energy, like moving to another room in the house, like, building power centers in your house, moving to another room or going outside, is really, really beneficial when you're moving through some gunk or upheaval. Yeah.
I had an experience this past week where, I have everything built into my schedule, but then there's sometimes these moments when like the opportunity arises, and you feel in your heart you got to say yes to it. So I was preparing for bed, like winding down, turning my lights down, and then Josh asked me, he's like, hey, do you want to go for a walk? And I was like, no, I'm trying to get, oh, okay, actually, yeah, let's go for a walk. So it's like 10 o'clock at night, the temperature outside, because we're in the south of the US, and it's very hot, and so it's hard to do something outside when it's so hot. And we went for a brief walk, maybe 20 minutes, like did a little loop around the neighborhood where we live. And it gave to me more than it would have to like lay in bed and read that particular night. I wouldn't maybe do that every night, but it was a nice opportunity. And just like what you were sharing, Chrissy, like where you're like, I just want to get outside. It was like that feeling. And I was really glad that we did that. And it felt like something that I don't remember who told me this, but something someone said was going on a walk and talk. Like there's something to be said about like when your body's moving, it moves energy. I remember Jeff and Shaleia telling the student body like, hey, go for a walk. I don't remember exactly where they said that, but it does kind of move your body's energy, but it's not disconnected from your soul and spirit. So going on a walk and talk, that's where Josh and I like talk and process things and come to decisions that maybe we wouldn't if we were like sitting in a stagnation energy. And I found that like really pretty cool, actually, like how the body partnered there with the spiritual work.
Yeah, I also feel like, yeah, what you shared, Lizzie, that to implement something new, right, like here and there, of course, you have your schedule, right? You have kind of like your daily routine as a frame, but like with Divine Dish too, right? You have kind of balanced meals, but then, like Jeff said, this highlight, right? Like here and there, like what is new and more, even more special. And that's kind of what I remember from a class I just watched this morning, where Jeff said that since childhood, he just like went deeper into love, right? From girlfriend to girlfriend, it just get better for him because he was like knowing, okay, I will have a crush again if it didn't work out with the other, and we will not have the same problem than before in the next relationship. And it was just a choice to not settle, right? To just go deeper into love with God. And that is what makes everything better, right? And of course, he also had tools or found tools along his journey that it got better and better till he then reached the tool, right? The mirror exercise, where everything went to light speed with the transformation. But yeah, this choice is very powerful. That's what I feel, right? To just don't settle where, like Chrissy shared and Jay in the sermon, like the comfortable feeling and the suffering. It's kind of cuddling, cozy feeling. No, it's not, right? Because you feel so good, like you shared, you go on a walk or you feel something new, a new energy is moving. And yeah, our choice is very powerful. And when I remember, like, when I would never done the mirror exercise before, right? And how far I have come, and yeah, it's just wow, like to embrace your challenge, right? No matter where you are, and to know there is a solution for every problem, there is the tool, and yeah, to just do it. Like no matter your pace, like Jeff always encouraged, right? Just keep going, like even with baby steps, right? You don't have to rush. It's not a race on your journey. There's no competition or something who's the first in perfect union. Like we all have our own unique, beautiful path.
With having a body, you know, there are certain things that you have to do every day. With being on the spiritual journey, same thing. And by organizing these in some kind of schedule, you can really win at life because your foundation is taken care of, you know. And then everything is easier because it has to get done anyway. Yeah. And if it's already considered in your schedule, yeah, I think it's like, I don't know, I'm going deeper with mine, you know, I'm not perfect. But it gives this really nice support, like a, you know, like a back pillow kind of. To know that, okay, I'm slowly grounding into all of these, and I feel like it's a lifelong mastery. And it will be really nice when we, and one day, maybe have a physical community, you know, to go to the gym together, something like that. I think I mentioned that in a group coaching class. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Like when we have those facilities available, and you could go and like hang out with other unionists and like, you know, do your thing. It's going to be very nice. I agree. Like that'll be really cool. Very supportive. Nice little.
Like a unionist hiking trip or something.
Yeah, there's a lot I think that is coming in for all of us as we move forward. It feels really, really good. And yeah, I agree, Fabian. Like I think like your schedule is always flexible too. Like your schedule is going to flex. I caught myself the other day. I had like, usually I have like morning sessions, I have breakfast and yoga, and I do afternoon sessions, and I have like another break, and then I have like admin time is basically my day. And I had a client who, like, on one day they wanted to switch to a certain time, and like it just wasn't in my flow. And so like I was having a very difficult time getting to this session, and I was like, man, I this isn't working for me. I need to switch this. And it's because my body and my mind and my, you know, my soul, my being is used to having a certain, like, I'm very like strict in my schedule in places, and like that was a place where I was very strict. Like, Jason's just getting home from work, like we're about to eat breakfast, like there's a lot of things going on, and like it's just like not a good time for me to have a session. And so I had to, like, you know, I talked to my client and I moved it. But yeah, like I think that's really important, is to honor your schedule and honor if like something is overstretching you or like feels bad, and know that there'll be a solution that actually supports your energetic vibration in those set points that you create, because they do become power centers and power sets as you move through your day. And so like they'll energetically pull you there over time because your body is so accustomed to it and it feels so good and it's ready for it. And like I think it's really important to, you know, follow that, and also follow the flow of when you're clearly putting something on the calendar and it's working for you and you have something else scheduled, just move the thing that's in conflict with what's actually happening. Like continuing to be like really present and like honor what's occurring, like, you know, respecting your experience is what's going to support you in creating a really supportive calendar that you feel good about doing. It's not a dogma, it's literally you feel good about living it and you feel good about doing it. That's what's going to really like drive you into a calendar you're going to maintain. Yeah. How are we feeling here, team? Does anyone have anything else or any closing comments? I feel like this like 45 minutes went by really fast today, but like any closing comments or anything they want to share? We feel good. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time. And bye.